Well, there's no doubt about it. This is the place to be. The Castrol Townsville 500, driven by Tape Queensland for 2014. There's kids, there's families. The merchandise area has been very, very busy. And there's stuff for the big kids and for the little kids as well. Plenty of event merchandise going around. They love their V8 supercars in North Queensland, and they're going to get a double dose because it's Dunlop Series time. James Moffat is alongside me, a man who won the first round here in 2009 for DDS. They've had another qualifying session this morning, so it's a different grid to what we had from the results of yesterday. Cam Waters in drama yesterday. He's got pole position for the second time this weekend. Series leader Ash Walsh is alongside with 30 cars. It's a big field for this weekend.
And don't we all love coming up to Townsville noons? The weather is perfect. Couple of notable guys to mention a bit further in the pack than they would have liked. Of course, Stephen Johnson, first time in the Dunlop Series, and he's out of 13th for this race, so he'll be looking to charge through.
I should point out, two grid position penalty for Paul Morris. He impeded Andrew Jones during qualifying, and Morgan Haber picked up a 25-point penalty for a multi-car crash yesterday. So, round win is on the line. Chris Pither won the race yesterday. He's on row 3. Cam Waters and Ash Walsh came together in the last corner of yesterday's race. They square off from the front row of the grid. Race 2 of the weekend, 29 laps, and it's the series points leader in the Infants Friend Ford that takes the lead on the run through turn 1.
Great start by Walsh, but this is where the trouble spot here on this circuit on the opening lap is. Into turn 2. Can they all get through cleanly? Oh, Heimgartner into the back of Waters.
And Paul Dumbrell went the long way around, and he's picked up second spot. They all made it through. But it's Walsh who leads, Dumbrell second. They are 1 and 2 in the series, just 17 points between them coming into this race. There's 150 for the win. Waters next, then Andre Heimgartner, Dean Fiore, Chris Pither. And Walsh there, he's a little bit wide. He got a little greedy over the curve on the run through the left, and it left him vulnerable on the exit of the right. So Dumbrell will start to close on in. There he is in that silver and blue Commodore. He's going to make a lunge. He's really close.
A bit cheeky there by Walsh there. Decided to put the block on Dumbrell after he committed to the normal braking line, but he manages to stay in front. Good job from him on the opening lap. Got a good start. The initial jump looked quite even, Aaron, but his secondary phase of the start was much better than Waters, who has dropped down to 3rd from pole position.
And if you weren't with us yesterday, we will remind you that Paul Dumbrell missed a race in the last round of Barbagallo. He flew back to Melbourne for business commitments, so he's a race behind and he's made a mistake. He's brushed the wall and folded the mirror in. Waters goes through. Heimgartner gets a run in the Finance Easy Ford. And this is why Dumbrell is doing this series, to keep himself sharp, to keep himself active in a race car before he teams up with Jamie Whincup for the Pertec Enduro Cup. I spoke to him earlier in the day, and he said, you need to get in this stuff. You need to have cars around you. You need to have hazards in front of you. You need drama. You need things going on, because when you get to Sandown come September, if you've done nothing all year, maybe a test day by yourself around a racetrack, you're not in the game. It feels completely strange.
We always say, Noons, it's all well and good doing 1,000 miles at a test day on your own, but nothing keeps you sharper than actually being in the race car in a race environment. So Paul probably just got caught out there by maybe the tyre temperature not being completely up to where he was expecting. Locked that right front brake. Luckily, he didn't get into the back of Ash Walsh. Give the fence a bit of a rub. Lost a couple of positions out of it. So he'll be disappointed with that. But now this race is all set up for Ash Walsh, isn't it? Replay at the start.
And it was a good solid run from Walsh on the right of screen in the 87 Falcon, and he was able to cover off. Dumbrell went for the outside option, because what happens is the inside might be good and well to block up the line. Everyone sort of nose to tails and slows up, so if you can sweep around the outside, as Dumbrell did there, you can pick up a spot. But have a look at that.
And that's a bit of PD's experience playing off right there, Noon. So a couple of heavy hitters.
Turn 3, that's turn 6, that left-right flick that's quite like Albert Park with that switchback over the backside of the lake section. Here's Marcus Sukanovic making a lunge down the inside on Andrew Jones.
Nice
Got
move.
It done.
Yeah, good move there. Not usually a passing opportunity into 7, so great move by Sukanovic. Did it nice and cleanly. Here's Hazelwood and Aaron Russell now having a battle. Oh, we've got a problem here for McGill around on the exit of turn 6.
Second time in 2 days he's been off around that part of the track.
We'll have to wait and see if he got some assistance or just did that all on his own.
shot here. Gary Jacobson, 7th.
He's around again.
It's not your day. It's not your day. Whoop. Premium Mechanical Services. He might need them here. Let's have a look at the replay. DIY. Just in front of Adam Wallace. Michael Hector as well. And then once he got going, he did it again.
Lucky to keep it off the fence both times, to be honest. So here we go now. Jacobson up the inside of Aaron Russell.
And Gary Jacobson, the Eggleston team, they were here till midnight last night. This was the car that in that last corner crash yesterday between Waters and Walsh, it caused some drama behind. Jacobson was hit from behind. I think it was actually Aaron Russell who's right behind him here on the road. The back of that car lifted up to 45-degree angle and crashed back down to the ground. They had to do quite a few repairs to get him back in the race. Jim Pollicina's down the escape road at turn 3. The left front tyre is flat. Down. So whether he's hit the wall, someone else, that's one of the ex-FPR cars that Tony D'Alberto raced most recently in the main championship. But this is a fight for third. Andre Heimgartner, the young Kiwi in the MW Motorsport car, the car that won last year's series with Dale Wood driving, actually. It's Will Davison's old FPR car. Of course, all these cars are formerly of the V8 Supercars Championship. And this is the tail of the top 10. So remember, we still run the round system in Dunlop Series. Most points for the weekend gets the trophy. And at the moment, Heimgartner and Dumbrell tied on points. PD must get by the Kiwi to win the round.
He looks like he's got a bit of speed on him at the moment. It's a long race, of course, 29 laps. So problem here for Stephen Johnson in pit lane.
Safety car is out.
A lot of damage to the back of that Wilson Security Ford. So whether Stevie's got a problem, we're not sure, but won't be losing as much time as he could be under safety car conditions, obviously.
Under investigation at race control is car 12. That's McCall debuting this weekend. Brad's son, Andrew's cousin. Wonder if he was involved in this. We shall find out. We'll take a break here in Townsville and come back in a moment.
Eeny, meeny, miny, money.
We're back and running. We've restarted race 2 of the Dunlop Series, round 4 of the development category for V8 Supercars, and it's the points leader, Ash Walsh, who still leads the way. Cam Waters sits in second. A bit of a shot here of the way that the field runs, looking back to Matt Hanson from Western Australia in 14th. While we were in the break, Aaron Russell's been in a little bit of drama, and he's going to be pulled out of the field and given a pit lane penalty. Now, this was a bit earlier on. Turn 2, Stephen Johnson and Jeff Emery go around in the background.
Well, that was the reason why we saw Stephen Johnson coming into pit lane. Obviously had a flat tyre. And this is the drama with Aaron Russell. Up the inside into turn 13 on the dirty stuff. Was never going to pull that off. And Gary Jacobson, innocent bystander and all that. Fortunately, they sort of straightened each other up on the exit.
Aaron Tebb here got wide over the back part of the circuit. Did the nice little move. Made it through the next 2 Cooper signs without obliterating them. And then next time around, Aaron Russell again had drama with the final corner. Couldn't stop it. Tapped Todd Hazelwood, who was having a very strong run, but this time he went all the way around, and that's picked up the young Newcastle driver a pit lane penalty after having a pretty good weekend otherwise. He finished 4th in yesterday's race after that late drama of a range of other drivers, so that's a shame.
I think that was his career best result, Aaron. So, yeah, disappointing for him and his team, but no doubt they will fight back the next round of the championship. We did spot a bit of debris before, and that has definitely come out the passenger side door of Gary Jacobson. It'll be nice and cool in there because he's missing the window noons.
Saving on weight, James. There you can see, there's the ding in the door that he received before in that incident. So he's rejoined in 11th. There's Dan Day, youngster, who's up to 13th. That's the highest we've seen him run. Michael Hector, Gulf Western Oil Falcon off down at turn 2. Picks it all up again and gets rolling. But it's Walsh out front. He controls the race. The points leader, 1.2 seconds clear of Cameron Waters. Andre Heimgartner, the Kiwi, is 3rd from Paul Dumbrell. Chris Pither is 5th. And when you just look at the points and the way that they're clocking up, he could win the round. That would be good enough, coupled with his race win yesterday, to get him on the podium for his first time in his Dunlop Series career and in the middle step, which would be great. He was really emotional when he won that race yesterday. This is what's... Michael Hector locks the rears. Stephen Johnson stays away. Didn't hit anything or anyone.
Yeah, so that was a bit unusual. So something I think has gone wrong in the back of that Gulf Western Falcon for that to happen. Shouldn't really lock the rears in that fashion. And we saw him slow to get going as well. So no doubt we might see Hector in the pit lane. But focusing here now on Chris Pither and Dean Fiore. These two were in a tight battle after the restart while we were away in the break. And Pither's managed to get in front of Fiore, who will be joining us in the Norton Hornets this year in the V8 Supercar Endurance races, obviously partnering Michael Caruso. Looking forward to have Dino on board, that's for sure.
And you'll have Taz Douglas back with you, who we've seen in the Dunlop Series in a couple of rounds this year. 7 drivers in the field today in the Dunlop Series are co-drivers for the Pertec Enduro Cup. So when you consider that there's 25 cars on the grid, by my quick numbers, it's almost a third of the field are here in this race. So they're all getting their eye in ahead of those 3 big events, Sandown, Bathurst and the Gold Coast. Jeff Emery here going by Matt Hansen. A couple of ex-888 Commodores. Emery's ex-Craig Lowndes. Matt's is the old monster car, actually, which was Scott Pye's. But he's had Steve Owen do a test day with him recently at Winton. It's really helped him come along. He's moving closer towards the tail of the top 10. They're actually run by the same team in Melbourne. Ex-888 chassis, and on the fringe of the 10 at the moment. They're 14th and 15th at the moment.
Yeah, a couple of cars with some serious pedigree. Definitely nothing wrong with the 888 equipment. And it's good to see Matt Hansen having a more competitive run than what we've seen from him so far this year.
Just behind Josh Keane, trying to get a move on Frederick Lestrup, the Swede in the Pacific Hoists Commodore, who was right up against the fence there, but managed to press on. Emery, former Commodore Cup winner. He's been in the series for quite a few years now. Formerly drove with Greg Murphy Racing. Now part of the GMJ team in Melbourne that prepares this car, Matt Hansen's car, and also Jim Pollicina's out front, though. Ash Walsh, he's got control. He's staring down the barrel of another race win. We're approaching the halfway mark of this final race of the weekend, and the Ipswich racer is out in front. They're off and chasing him. In Townsville, there's plenty of action on the track, but there's plenty in the Disney Fun Zone as well. The kids escaping the track action for a little while. There's a track of their own here as well. Got the trikes there, Volvo shirt on, and there's plenty of fun to be had. The characters from Cars. Do you reckon we could slim down them off?
It looks like a bit of fun down there for sure, but one guy that isn't having much fun is Andrew Jones. He's pulled up just pit exit there. And obviously dramas with that Commodore of his. He's hit the wall. I've just heard him on the radio before he climbed out of this car. He's tapped the wall, and it looks like from the vision we saw of it in the break that it's damaged the watch linkage, the way that the rear end of that car was moving around. Here's a replay. There he is, the former Dunlop Series champion. Yep, left rear, tapped the wall, and that's busted the rear end. There's just 2 wide through turn 12, and it goes to show it doesn't take much of a hit to break these cars, especially with the Watts link in this old generation V8 supercar. If you get it right at the right angle, breaks the bolt, and Brad Jones not very happy, shaking his head in pit lane. Been a tough day for his squad. Obviously, his son Macaulay making his debut, got a jump start and drive-through penalty for that. So other than that, Macaulay's been doing a great job all weekend. It's 23rd, first weekend in the Dunlop Series. Formula Ford racer last year, did a bit of winning there. Young guy's working on this car. He's part of the family team. They've got a big weekend. 3 cars in Dunlop Series, 3 cars in V8 Supercars Championship as well. So a big logistical effort from the Albury-based team. And although Brad's had a little bit of a grimace on his face there, yes, Andrew's out. Macaulay's had a penalty. But Chris Pither, the 3rd driver in the team there, is 5th in this race and has enough points, if he finishes where he is and the field stays where they are, to win the weekend. Yeah, absolutely. So it won't be all too bad for BJR if Chris can manage to hold on for the round win. Only 3 points in it, mind you, between Chris Pither, Paul Dumbrell and Andre Heimgartner, who are tied for 2nd at the moment. It's back to the front. There's Heimgartner in 3rd. Dumbrell 4th. Andrew Jones, well, at least he didn't have to walk far back down pit lane. No, yeah, he made sure he parked it at a reasonable spot for him, didn't he? We'll see Andrew at the Enduros. He'll be in this car, Team BOC's number 8 car with Jason Bright, but for the moment he is done for that. Here's Chris Pither, the former V8 Ute champ, Ice Break Coffee Commodore. It's run by BJR. It's engineered by Paul Forgy, who was, of course, with Marcus Ambrose when he won a couple of titles in the mid-2000s. And
He crossed the line second in yesterday's race. Cam Waters was given a penalty for contact with Ash Walsh at the last corner. And he was really emotional because it was his first race win in V8 supercar racing. And I'll tell you what, he might be a bit more emotional today because he could win his very first round.
Tony D'Alberto, an interesting weekend for you. You yourself are racing, but you're also race engineering young rookie Josh Keane, but disappointing for him to end this race early.
Yeah, I'm here helping out Josh as a bit of a mentor, but yeah, the curbs here have claimed another victim here. We've just broken a damper. So that's the end of our race, and we were coming through in that race a little bit as well, so it wasn't a bad race for young Josh.
You're used to people telling you what to do on the radio, but you're telling him what to do on the radio.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird actually, and I can understand why my engineer, you know, some of the struggles he had when talking to me, but I can learn a few things from that.
We're looking forward to seeing you in the Duros later in the year. Thanks, Tony.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait. Thanks.
We are. Thanks, Rihanna. Tony will team with Tim Slade in the Super Cheap Auto number 47 Commodore. He's been doing a bit of Ferrari GT driving this weekend in latter times, so he's still remaining active behind the wheel, but we'll get back in come Sandown in September. So too will this man, Stephen Johnson. First time in the Dunlop Series this weekend. He's driving for Matt Stone Racing. Similar livery to the Dick Johnson racing cars, Wilson Security and Pace and the like. 17 and a 0 for 170, but he'll be back with Wilson Security Racing and DJR for Sandown. He'll drive with David Wall in the number 17 car. But this is all about just getting him back into the rhythm, back into the focus, doing some laps. Hasn't raced since the Gold Coast last year with Erebus. So this is all about just getting his eye into the Enduros. And he's one of the reliable performers when it comes Enduro time. You know, you were a former teammate.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think more importantly, Nunes, it's good to see Johnson back in a Falcon, isn't it? So, look, Stevie will be disappointed, especially with how this race has gone. And this is a bit of a last-minute deal to come together for him. But I expect him to be a lot stronger at the next round of the championship for the Dunlop Series, which is Ipswich Queensland Raceway track that has been his home circuit for however long he's been around, which is quite a while. So he's a very solid performer, and just good to see him back out in the car.
And the round that James mentions is the next round for the Dunlop Series and the V8 Supercars. Coates Hire, Ipswich 400, Queensland Raceway, home test track for a range of teams in both the main V8 Championship and also the Dunlop Series. Of course, the details are on your screen. Will be there in early August. This man will be there too.
There's the great man.
The front straight, the QR is named after him. Dick Johnson, the Hall of Famer, watching on as his lad runs around in P18 at the moment. And is chasing down Paul McKinnon, who's making his first start this weekend in the Dunlop Series. So two Dunlop Series rookies racing here together, but one with somewhat more V8 experience.
That is very, very strange to say that Steve Johnson is a rookie, but you're right. In technical terms, he is.
And he's driving an ex-Stone Brothers car. This was Tim Slade's car, actually, a couple of years ago. Aaron Tebb here going by Michael Hector, who was actually a couple of laps down after his various dramas earlier on. So Ted runs position 21. A good chance for us to have a look back through the field and see some of the other drivers who are competing in this series. There's Aaron McGill in 23rd. Despite those couple of spins, he's still on the lead lap. And no one has more starts in this series than him.
That's what I was going to say. He's been around this series for a long time. Always shows up. So it's good to see that Aaron's still going around. And these guys are having a little bit of a battle, whether it's for position or not. A couple of cars are lap down, but they're all out there having a go. And lap 22 of a 29-lap race. See Aaron McGill hanging in the back of that Commodore out through turns 9 and 10. These guys will be thinking that these cars are driving horrible. Tyres will be worn out. They'll be getting tired themselves. The brakes will be getting hot. But I tell you, one man who's probably thinking things are pretty good at the moment, Ash Walsh. He's out to a 2.7-second lead, so I think he's just controlling this race very nicely. They've just missed out on pole position both times this weekend, but the speed that this car has shown in the race has been very, very impressive.
He's had good form in this series so far. He leads the points. He's won the last 2 rounds. He'd love another race win. He's got 7 laps to run. We'll come back in just a moment with race 2 of the Dunlop Series. Well, What a place to be, North Queensland. Fantastic. We're going to keep the Queensland theme for both the V8 Supercars and the Dunlop Series for the next event. The Coates Hire Ipswich 400 takes us to Queensland Raceway at the start of August. Make sure you join us for 2 big days of coverage with lots of V8 action. The Aussie race cars will be there as well. But this is where it's at today, Townsville, for the Castrol Townsville 500, driven by TAFE Queensland. Fans are lined up out the back, and they are for your autograph, James Moffat, because that's the lineup to our commentary box.
That's where I'm meant to be, but I'm in the commentary box with you, so I'll be a little bit late to that autograph session, but...
Hope you don't get fined for that.
Well, we did have to talk with V8 Supercars to get clearance to come and join your fine self in the com box, but...
I'd hate to have cost you money. You'd send me an invoice. This guy's going along well. He's earning his money. Ash Walsh leads 2.7 seconds the margin. He's got 4 laps to go this time to the line. This is good for his championship. Yesterday, right here, final corner of the race, he got unloaded by Cam Waters and did recover, got going again, but finished 18th, and it let Paul Dumbrell close into the series. This is the perfect way to respond, and Queensland Raceway, the next round, is his home test track, and Ipswich, it's his hood. That's where he's from. He knows his way around there better than anybody.
Yeah, and he absolutely benefited from the fact that the Dunlop Series have 2 qualifying sessions this weekend, because he ended up finishing that first race well down in the 20s, and the opportunity to qualify again for this race gave him the chance to qualify on the front row, and as we saw, he got a perfect start, and he hasn't looked back since, so he's really dominated this race so far. Only little hiccup for him was having to probably deal with Cam Waters again after the safety car restart, but he's well and truly cleared off, and these guys are now fighting lap traffic, so barring anything silly happening, as Cam Waters gets really held up through turn 8 by Hector. And that's what these guys have to contend with in these longer races, is dealing with the lap traffic. And has that guy seen me? Has he not? And the last thing you want to be doing is throwing away a good result, getting mixed up with a lap back marker.
Garth Tander, James Courtney, Nick Percat, Tim Slade, all the boys from Walkinshaw Racing are signing away. Good line down at Mr. Motorsport as well for the Kelly lads, Rick and Todd, Michael Caruso, and there's a spare chair down there too, I think.
Caruso's probably just keeping that warm for me,
hope he's not trying to do a Moffat signature. Looking at Cam Waters to the left in the NZ Ford. This is a car run by Ford Performance Racing. It's one of their cars that they've run over the years, and they still look after it. He'll drive with Jack Perkins at the Pertec Enduro Cup. Young guy from Mildura. Aaron Tev getting right out of the way. Good stuff. Waters now lives in Melbourne, so he's closer to FPR. He keeps himself sharp because he still does a bit of speedway here and there, so he doesn't mind a bit of dirt track racing, but he hasn't had the pace today to go with Walsh.
I've got to say, though, I really like how Cam goes about his business. Watching him drive the car, especially in qualifying on the limit, is a good watch. And, of course, he's a graduate of the Formula Ford Championship, won that series with Sonic Motor Racing a few years back, and he's been in the development series for a few years now, and there's certainly no doubting his speed. He's had a few pole positions this year, super slow-mo now of Ash Walsh, and just look at the load that goes through these cars over the curbs up here in Townsville.
And watch the way that that car compresses back down. That's the sort of corner where you need your suspension package working. It's the black art of motor racing, and they've got it right. He's built the margin now to 3.9 seconds, 2 laps to go. Just needs to cruise it on home. We'll see Ash team up with Scott Pye for the Pertec Enduro Cup in the number 16 Wilson security car. He made his debut in the main race at Bathurst last year with Dick Johnson's team and did a solid job. Made a mistake at Sandown, but righted the wrong at Bathurst. He and Tim Blanchard did a really nice job. And he's just building his experience. He spent some time in Formula Ford. He went overseas, did a little bit of Formula Renault. Was in and around the Australian A1 Grand Prix team there for a while, and has really built himself into a guy who has done a nice job in this Dunlop series. He's growing with this little team. It's Matt Stone Racing. It's Jim Stone's son. Jimmy's heavily involved there as well. These are the ex-Stone Brothers racing cars that, of course, were no longer needed when the new spec cars came, and, of course, the team was sold and became Erebus, and the Mercedes-Benz cars came along. So they've built a very good little DVS team with a range of cars. They're running 4 of them this weekend. They've become a team to really watch in the Dunlop series. Yeah,
and Ash has always been fast, right through the junior categories. And this year he's just managed to to, I guess, go that next level. He's definitely been the benchmark so far this year. You know, going up against guys like Paul Dumbrell in Triple Eight equipment is nothing to be sneezed at. So this team, this driver combination is really doing a fantastic job. A few years Ash has been in this series now, and he's always been fast, like I said, but he's just managed to always find himself in trouble somehow. But this year, he doesn't seem to be getting himself in trouble, if not being on the wrong end of the trouble sometimes, with a couple of incidents with Cam Waters, namely yesterday, obviously. So all he's got to do now is bring it through turn 11 and 12, under the bridge, over the bumps of the railway line, which is quite hairy in a V8 supercar, and he's going to get a well-deserved victory.
He was the bridesmaid in the Dunlop Series last year, the runner-up who took the fight to Dale Wood all the way to the final round at Sydney Olympic Park. This is the end of the fourth round. There are just 3 left to go. And Ash Walsh, one corner. This is where it went wrong yesterday, but there's no one near him today. Cam Waters can't throw it up the inside and have a run. So the Matt Stone Racing Ford off the final turn, the 3rd race win of the season, and Walsh extends the margin in the Dunlop Series. He rights the wrong of yesterday. Waters is home in 2nd. Let's look back, though. Chris Pither, the Ice Break Coffee Commodore, is going to come to the line and finish in position 5. He's crossed the line. He's won the round. Great job by the Kiwi.
Yeah, that's great to see. Great job by not only Chris, but everybody at Ice Break Racing. So he'll be really relieved to get that first win off his back. So be a happy driver inside that number 42 Commodore.
He won his first Dunlop Series race yesterday. He crossed the line 2nd. Waters was penalised post-race, but he's done a good job. He's actually been coming on with this team and BJR in the last couple of rounds, so he deserves that. Well done to the Sydney-based Kiwi. But Walsh wins. Waters is in there. Heimgartner 3rd from Paul Dumbrell. Dean Fiore in 6th from Ant Pedersen. Jack LeBrock, that's a good job in 8th. Paul Morris moved up to 9th. Morgan Haber made some ground too. He ended up position 10 after starting a bit further back. Gary Jacobson, well, he had some issues. Todd Hazelwood did as well. Dan Day, PB in P14. Stephen Johnson, his return was drama-filled. Let's have a look at the highlights, James, of race 2. And Paul Dumbrell looked solid early, but then made this little mistake and never really recovered.
Yeah, problem also for Aaron McGill. A big spin on the exit of turn 6. Lucky to keep it off the concrete, and then got going again and had another whoopsies at turn 7 and 8. And this is where Stephen Johnson got turned around by Jeff Emery. So problems there. And Policina, he had a left front failure, and that brought out the safety car, and that's where all the chaos started, with Aaron Russell into the side of Jacobson.
Wasn't the only one to have some drama. Aaron Tebb squeezed through the 2nd side. Aaron Russell next lap around took out Todd Hazelwood, who did get going and finished 13th. Michael Hector lost the rear of the Gulf Western Oil Ford and found himself sideways at turn 2. Andrew Jones bumped the fence, and the ALB Distributors Commodore was done for the race. It parked just at pit exit, and Ash Walsh picked up the race win. Chris Pither picks up the round win. We'll see the Dunlop Series back soon. Queensland Raceway in a couple of weeks' time. Then, of course, they'll be at the Mountain come October at the Super Cheap Auto Bathurst 1000. Channel change alert for our New South Wales and Queensland viewers. Switch across to 7 now to keep watching all the action from the Castrol Townsville 500. Not far away, Armorall qualifying for the V8 Supercars Championship.